I gotta also ask, look at the boat. What happened with your boat?
Oh, yeah.
That was all of a sudden like, wow, Louis like a tabloid guy.
Yeah, popping
Louis C.K. in his boat.
Just hanging out waiting to be rescued.
I got stuck in the mud.
It's new Black Crowes album.
It was my first day. Yes, it was my first day in the
Stuck in the mud.
I just bought it, and I spent one day on it with some guy who showed me the specifics of the boat. But it was a big fucking boat with 2 engines, and it's really complicated to drive. And I took my girls out on it, and as we were pulling out of the marina, my daughter was like, "How do you know how to do this?"
Oh shit!
And I was like, "It's not that big a deal." Like I was defensive with my 10-year-old. It's not that big a deal. I could do this. And we went around Manhattan, and I got in all this shit I had no qualifications to deal with.
That's a crazy waterway, because the currents,
especially on the east side.
Especially, what do they call that fucking
It's an estuary. Don't they call it Devil's something?
No, it's like something.
All the water.
Hell's Gate. Hell's Gate.
That's right.
Yeah.
All
right
the water
on the
converges right there.
They should call it Watergate.
Where the river is kind of split. By
the Long Island Sound collides with the Harlem River.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
It gets a little dicey over there.
Really
Don't
bad.
say the Harlem River around Anthony today.
No.
I'm all right.
A little sensitive.
It's been a renaissance up there. It's
Don't say
fantastic.
Muddy
One
River.
moment when we were in that cauldron and we just smashed, like the boat felt like it was coming apart, and my 7-year-old screamed, and her sister held her eyes, like closing them. It was like, it was really stressful.
Were you
But then
panicking?
Then we
I don't
get
know, is
no.
that
I mean,
crazy
it's
in that
nervy,
river?
but
It was making that smack sound on
Yes.
the water. The bow goes like, bam,
it was
bam,
really bad.
fucking,
It's
it's
where
a
the Harlem
bang.
River meets.
Yeah.
The Long Island Sound.
The Long Island Sound,
it
the East
swirls
River,
in
and
such
the
a
Harlem
way
River.
you've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's crazy
Yeah, it's
to go
all,
through
and
that
it kind of, you
area.
get whirlpools.
Like up by Yankee
You get all kinds of like a
No,
lumber.
on the east side.
It's fucking
Not far
lumber
from Yankee
floating around
Stadium. Not far from there.
Oh, yeah, well, it is. Yeah,
That is
Yankee
east
Stadium's
side.
on the east side.
It's
It's south
crazy
of there.
to navigate that.
It's
yeah.
just north of Roosevelt Island.
Yeah.
Correct.
And are you thinking, I just want somebody who knows how to do this here right now with me?
Yeah. And then we went up to the Harlem River, which is very, it's
awesome.
like glass.
It's really nice.
And so now we got through it, and we're really happy. And I've got frozen burritos and macaroni and cheese. So we're going to pull over, throw the anchor, and we're going to make lunch. And so I find this little cove, this sweet little cove.
Nice.
And
In Harlem?
there's people in a park next to it, and it's just a nice place. So I pull in there, and the boat just stops moving all of a sudden. And everything starts beeping because
the
the
depth
boat is
gauge and
the boat is cooled by water in that it's sitting in. So now it's just sucking mud up into the this 2-hour-old engines are now packed with mud. And I just shut everything off because I know everything's overheating.
Oh man!
And my daughters go, "What's going on?" And I turned to them and I said, "You need not to ask me any questions for a little while."
Oh shit! Yeah.
And the park ranger calls over to me from the shore, and he says, "You ain't going anywhere. It's low tide. You're going to be stuck there for a long time." And I'm like, no, it's all right. I'm trying not to let my daughters hear this. And I call the Coast Guard, or whatever, the Channel 16. And I'm like, anybody can tow me out of here. And these cops show up on the boat. And they're like 50 yards away, and they're not going to come anywhere near me.
No.
And they said, yeah, you're going to have to wait till
Like you're
high tide.
infectious.
Yeah, it's around 1 o'clock, and I'm on the radio with the cops, and they go, you're going to have to wait till high tide. And I said, when's that? And they said, maybe midnight tonight.
Oh no!
Both my daughters start crying straight away.
Did you stay the whole time, or did you get out?
You can't. There was no way to get out because in
couldn't
a
take, like, a
few
little
minutes
Zodiac?
we were surrounded by mud, and it was like quicksand. Like I put a stick in it, and it just fell into the mud.
Were you embarrassed?
Fucking very.
That's one of the best questions I've ever heard. Quick, salient, succinct.
Oh
I
man!
was really embarrassed.
So you were pretty much just like no more water. Your
Yeah.
boat is sitting in muck.
Mud, yeah.
In mud.
Really
And
gross.
you're waiting for the tide to come back in. Were you
Yeah, and
afraid
we-
that it was just going to be stuck in the mud and
I was afraid
not
of that.
come up?
I was afraid. My daughter was like, what if we like keel over? What if we start tipping over? I'm like, that can't happen. And in my head, I'm like, that could totally happen. And the cops said they would go get us food because we couldn't cook any of the food now because it needs the generator to
Throw
run
it
the
to you?
fucking oven.
How would they get it to you?
Well, that was a big deal because they went and got us food. the cops. They bought us a whole chicken and some rice.
Nice.
Really
Oh,
nice
nice.
guys. Then they come back, and now there's a huge expanse of mud between us and them.
the food.
And they go, we don't know how you're going to get this. They put it in a garbage bag. And I start throwing a line to them, but it's not making it. All these people on the shore, everybody knows who I am now.
Oh, no.
So there's people in the park and the shore who are just on a rail just watching me. And I'm throwing this, I've tied a pot to the rope, and I throw it, and it gets about halfway there, and I'm pull it back, and I'm covered in mud. Because every time the rope comes back, it's totally covered in mud, and I have to get the mud off so it's not heavy. Every time I go to throw it, all the people on the side, half of them are going, well, pull it for you, Louie, you can do it. And then when I miss, they go, oh, man, dude sucks.
It's like playing left field for the Yankees.
Yeah, it's totally the Yankee Stadium crowd. Boo. People booed. People booed.
Wow.
And I couldn't get it, so finally the cops pulled over a guy who was fishing, and they used his rod to throw me a line.
Cast a
They
line.
cast a weight over
Oh,
me.
nice.
So you're able to
I
tie
tied it
that.
to a rope.
Right.
They pulled it, and then I had to pull dinner onto the boat. I was so soaked in mud and sweat. Totally.
Then it was chicken mole after that.
That's right.
Had your kids calmed down by that point? a
They
little
were
bit?
great. My kids
Yeah.
were amazing.
Yeah.
Then what happens at midnight?
We waited and waited. Once in a while, like it started raining a little bit, and I heard from the darkness in the park, some kid go, "Hey, Louis, CK, it's raining out now." This is crazy.
Asshole.
But those guys at the marina where I keep the boat, they're really cool guys, and they sent some young guy, and in a boat, and they just dropped him in the water, and he swam to us.
Jesus.
Crazy kid. And he came on board with me and helped me get it out. Once the water came up, we used the bow thruster to shove the boat
Oh, you got a
around.
little bow thruster on
Yeah.
there.
Were you feeling it rise as the water's coming? You're like, oh, God,
No, the
this
boat
actually-
wasn't moving because the water was coming up and the boat was just sitting there, stuck in the mud. So that's why we used the bow thrusters are above
Shake
the
it
mud.
loose. Wow.
So we shook the boat around.
Whoa.
And it worked.
And at one point, the tide was starting to go down again, and the guy that was with me said, "It's your call, but we could put it in. We could turn the engines on and put it in reverse and try to get out of
It'll
here."
whirl.
What'd you do?
Yeah, and it was like Apollo 13 because everything had been off for a long time, and now we're like, he says we have 10 seconds of battery. It was all this stuff.
Oh,
Yes.
shit.
So we fired up and just put it in reverse, and mud just. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
We don't have enough lems to get Louis out of the mud.
Any damage to the boat?
It's pride.
Propeller was My
Little damage.
propeller was bent a little.
2 hours.
But now
Boat
the
was 2
hurricane
hours old.
threw my boat into a street somewhere.
Are you serious? The hurricane fucking totaled your boat.
I don't know. They said nobody. I was
They haven't
the
found
marina
it yet?
where they had it. They said all boats came off their blocks because the surge came up under the boats,
Fucking Captain Louis.
I think-
and they said
Jesus.
all boats were damaged.
I think God is telling you not to have a boat, Lo.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find another hobby.
What are you going to do next? Go around Somalia? Jesus.
Now, Lou, didn't you have a depth gauge indicator where that would go like
Yeah.
meh when you get in shallow water?
Yeah, the mud happens so suddenly. You have to know
Oh.
the waters, and you need to look at your charts.
Right,
You can't
the
just look at the
charts.
depth finder.
And the tributaries. You have to know them as well.
The depth finder tells you what the depth is directly
Under your boat, right?
Yeah.
So
It doesn't
you can
tell you
just,
what's coming.
you'll just go up on it, and then it'll.
If he knew it was coming, he wouldn't be near Harlem. You were just going out there trying to catch Walter, and you and Billy hit the rock on Golden Pond. When fucking Katharine Hepburn comes out with her fucking head boogieing.
Oh my God! Wow, that is fucked up, Louis.
It was a funny.
Jesus.
Well, my girls went through this whole thing with me as we came into we went down the Hudson River to go home at midnight. And I said to my daughter, we have to come back out on the boat so you can have a positive experience.
Right.
And she said, we just did have a positive experience.
Oh, that's nice.
She
Plus, they
loved
got
it.
to stay up late.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they
that's-
don't like staying up late. They're 10 and 7.
Yeah.
They just want to go to sleep.
Is there a downstairs on the
I got a
boat?
10-year-old. He's
Yeah.
like stares at the TV all night.
Does he?
Yeah,
Well,
he wants
he's
to
a boy.
sleep. I know, I can't
boys
stop
are-
doing Colin.
Yeah.
Stares at the TV all night.
Well,
Why don't we take a break? Louis C.K.'s here. Jay
Watching
Moore.
C-SPAN like a weirdo.
Jay Moore is at Governor starting Friday. All right.
All right.
And I'm in
Friday through
Texas
Sunday.
And Jimmy's at the Addison Improv in Texas.
I'm at Governor
2 weeks.
Connolly's.
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. 15.
He gave me the cue. I didn't know you were done.
Well, didn't you see my lips moving? Kidding.
So you'll be in the Anthony show. We're blowing up.
I yelled at E-Rock. I'm like, come back. What are you doing? It's fucking 9:35 already. He's like, well, they want material.
9:35.
We go as long as we want.
Yeah. Go as long as you want, honey.
I got to go back home and power my house back up. Every morning when I leave, I power it down. I turn off the generator. And then when I go home, and that's exactly what it's like.
5 seconds to total shutdown.
I was telling him I went through a generator the other day. Saturday, my generator just fucking died.
Sure.
And it's like you're sitting inside, and you get used to the sound of the generator, and then it just goes. It's quiet, and the lights go out, and you're all fucking back in like a caveman again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Louis had the best point about you, Anthony. Of all people, how are you not like Mr. Generator when the storm's rolling
He's
in?
hooking that
working on
up.
it.
He's going to have you're going to have a 1,000-gallon fuel tank.
It's
Like you're a doomsday scenario guy, right?
1,000-gallon
like a
fuel tank, by
submarine.
the way. That's good for how, like, with 3 days? That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think no one wanted to, so they just refused to take the moment of the hurricane to realize how much fuel we use.
Yeah.
Like,
it's amazing.
people downtown, really cool, green people downtown, didn't just refuse to notice. It's like
Yes.
people are sitting with generators like in the middle of the Greenwich Village. There's a generator. It's fucking. It's just pissing through gas to charge up 3 iPhones. Like when you plug your iPhone into the wall, so that you can do really cool apps about how green you are and how liberal you are burning fucking tons of gallons of Arab fuel. It's so fucking. It's just hypocritical.
Arabs.
And you also realize when there's no fuel at gas stations, and then there's one opens up, the long lines that are out there. You start realizing how much fuel people go through when all the gas stations are open.
That's right.
It's a huge amount.
Crazy.
It's insane. I am in a position now where today I'm dipping below a quarter tank of gas in my truck. I only have one more jug of gas for the generator. And my whole existence for the past 8 fucking days has been, where do I get fuel today?
Yep.
It's like the Road Warrior. You're just constantly trying to find fuel.
Was this storm? This was worse than Katrina, right?
Well,
No, wait.
Nah.
The storm, not the repercussions. The storm
The
itself.
storm
don't even think so.
itself.
No, Katrina
It was a Frankenstorm.
Category 5
Katrina
or 4.
was a Category 3 when it hit
Oh, 3.
land.
Yeah, this was a
Which
1, but
is
it was
unheard of for
it's
land.
where it hit. And they were underwater, like they're below sea level. Their whole fucking
Well, they
city.
started below sea level. So I was
Yeah,
curious
yeah.
if Katrina was worse or this one was worse.
No,
just the
Katrina
storm
was
itself.
worse. When you look at
I
a
use my
fucking-
hands to show you guys what I mean by
Yeah, but it was a
separate storm.
Katrina
When
was
you
a
look at the
much-
Superdome filled with people shitting themselves,
But that's
and then
the
you look at,
repercussions. I'm at the
me
actual
with a
weather,
generator.
The actual weather. Which one weather-wise?
Well, Staten Island is
Staten Island got fucking
is a
trashed.
wrecked
Somebody answer my
line
questions.
beach.
I'm tipping this
Katrina,
fucking table.
I'm telling you, Katrina was worse. It was a 3
had
or
to be
4,
worse.
and this one was maybe a 1 or a tropical storm. It kept getting downgraded and then back up.
But there were other factors that made this, as they're calling it now, the superstorm.
That's it.
Frankenstorm. You can't just say that it was
No, it's a different story.
a one
It bolts in
hurricane.
its neck. The location was crazy because between Long Island and Jersey, the water just backed up in there. There was nowhere for it to go.
Just pushing that water.
and just went everywhere over the barrier islands and everything. Just fucking
This
Louis
storm
could have
was
used it when
worse.
his boat hit mud.
could have used a
The
flood.
storm was worse. This one was because it happened to me.
Right, because you were directly involved.
Yeah.
Really, this
Fucking
was
had
worse.
to cancel 2 shows.
Guys got 2 Emmys.
Katrina.
He's got 2 Emmys. He's sitting here with egg in his beard.
And we haven't found Lou's
Jesus.
boat yet.
Nah, I haven't found
You
the
want people
boat.
to find your boat for you?
What's that?
Can you tell? I don't know if you will. I'll just
What's the
ask
name of your
though.
boat?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
the name of the
question.
boat and how much it cost you that it's now just somewhere.
No.
I know he'll answer one of those.
I know. I don't think it'll do the.
Yeah, it was the name of the boat was Dogs.
Dogs.
With a G or
Right,
with
it's
an,
how much
with
it
an S or a Z?
It was.
What?
With an S or a Z?
No,
So what he
fuck
meant
you.
by-
You said G first.
Yeah, I did, but I
How many-
DAWGZ.
How many foot?
34 feet.
34.
We know about.
I got a pretty good
That's
idea.
a big nut.
I got a pretty good idea.
Wow.
That's a big
pretty
nut.
good.
You know, it's
That's pretty good. Yeah,
nice
yeah, yeah.
So what did you? Why dogs?
Because somebody called me and said they're shipping it right now, and someone's standing there with a spray can.
You got to come up with a name.
Come up with a name now. And I was busy, and I said, dogs.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's it.
Works.
And I forgot I did it. And when I went to take the boat out of Lindenhurst, I'm like, oh, what did I say that?
Yeah, I know. A better name would have been I'm a non-captain cunt. So what do? You pick it up on a trailer hitch, or they ship it to where you want it? I don't know. I don't know how it works.
It was being kept in,
it's a little big for a...
Oh.
It was being kept in Jersey City.
To back
And
down
then
a fucking slip. Yeah. A fucking...
Yeah, you don't launch that.
The ramp.
son.
You take it down to the local boat ramp at Ashroken and
Let's
dump it
catch,
out.
let's catch some
that's not
sunnies.
Yeah, some sunnies.
The bluegills are all over the place.
Yeah.
Who knows where the bass are, right, kid?
Snappers.
Yeah, with your
Let's go get
girlfriend in
some
cutoff
snappies.
shorts pretending to help while you're launching it.
So you're cranking that.
I didn't know it. Just I'll do it.
Yeah. Wow, that's fucking. That's a pretty big size boat for your first boat.
Yeah, I mean, I've had smaller boats.
Oh, you
like
have?
little motorboats and stuff.
Yeah.
I never had a thing like
That
that.
2 engines, you got to fucking
No,
work
it's got a
those,
spinning.
work
It's got
those
radar.
props. Right. That spinny thing is cool as fuck.
Everything but a mud detector.
Everything but a competent user. In the hands of an asshole, a total worthless piece of fiberglass.
But it was in the Post, I think. It was funny. That's
Yeah, it was. We
That's
saw
a
the
better-
pictures, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's a better story, though. It's like, I had a great trip around Manhattan. Who cares? I
Yeah.
got stuck in the mud. That's a
exactly
great
right.
story, man.
Beach
I'm really.
fans on the fence like that.
Yelling at you.
That's right.
Seems
Louis C.K. It's starting to rain now. You should have bought a
It was like
robot
a little
ant.
kid, like a little Puerto Rican kid. Hey, Louis C.K. He didn't know, like somebody told him who that was. It's starting to rain.
Thanks.
Thanks
You
a
should
lot.
rename the boat to Follies.
That's a good one. Jesus. Now we're supposed to have more shit today, which...
When does that shit start? Soon?
Yeah, like
Right
fucking
now?
this afternoon.
Nah.
It's already getting a little gusty out there.
Today, it's supposed to.
50, 60 mile an hour winds
That's why
coming back.
I'm kind of glad they didn't turn my fucking power on because it just would have gone out today. My power goes out constantly. But it's going to take something like 6 months to put this generator in because I need all kinds of
Yeah, it's for
fucking
next
permits
time.
and shit.
It's for next year.
Yeah. And then they got to bury something that's akin to a submarine for the fuel and then truck in this giant generator, tie it into my house. But then when the power goes out, the entire, and I mean everything. I could turn every single electrical device on in my house, and this handles it. So
How long does a full tank last, though?
2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that.
Couple weeks, maybe?
It's at full blast. I would assume 1,000 gallons of liquid
Less than a week.
propane.
Someday, an archaeologist
Yeah.
is going to go through your neighborhood, like thousands of years from now, and they're going to find your house with that tank, that 1,000-gallon tank, and be like, this must have been the king of the whole world. This man must have been the ruler.
But they're going to find a skeleton alone in the house.
He was very proud of his various weapons. He's surrounded by them.
His subjects all left him before the invasion like leaves falling from a tree.
Oh, by the way, some of Long Island has already lost power.
Oh, already?
Because of this one.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Watch
That's coming in
just to
by a
fuck
few
me.
people.
Just to shove it up my ass for governors.
That's where we were
fuck.
born and raised, and every time the wind blows, the fucking power goes.
See, I'm from Jersey, and
every single
terrible.
fucking time.
Why is that? Why wouldn't you guys have a more?
Because they don't
I
cut down
don't
the
know.
trees and the
bunch of
wires are above
Italians can't get
ground.
together and go, this is what we're going to do about the power.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bad week for Staten Island people.
Yeah, Staten Island.
They don't
Long
eat.
Island.
They got nothing.
Staten Island.
I'm going there to do a couple of shows at the St. George, I think this Saturday before Thanksgiving. There's a place called the St. George Theater.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to do
Mamma
2
Mia.
shows there.
Oh, that's
I think we're going to give half the tickets to people locally away that
that's
they can
good,
come,
yeah.
and then the other half for
You can do
raising
that
money.
when you're a big shot.
It's the best
can.
medicine.
Yes. Something you get to
Big
do.
shot.
I'm handing out my CDs if anybody wants them. to make you feel better about your own lives. Here, I actually put this out and thought it was good.
Jimmy goes, I'm handing these out. $10, please.
The money's going to go to the fucking relief, some drug addict if she takes my cum. Holy shit. I'm sorry, I like prostitutes. What do you think, they're college grads? They're fucking druggies. Who else would come to my house during the hurricane? You bet I did.
He did get one. He got one during the hurricane.
Yeah, she charged an extra $50 because she said the cabbies were price gouging her.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
But he got one in the middle of the
should have
hurricane.
said no. That would have been so mean. No.
Well,
You pay it.
While people were losing their boats and homes, Jimmy was able to get a fucking
get a hooker.
young lady to his house.
Great.
Well, hopefully, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Sure.
Any
sure.
water play?
So,
No.
there's enough water play outside. Thank you very much.
Boom.
You didn't lose power, did you? You're still in the same place, right?
Yeah, no, I was,
Uptown we didn't. But my kids were with me. Some friends from downtown came and stayed with me and stuff.
Oh, you let people.
What was Jay about to say?
I just answered like
Just
he's talking to me.
answering Jimmy's
Obviously, he was talking.
questions.
Yeah, no, I was,
Yeah.
nothing. What I usually say.
Did you lose power?
No.
In the Pacific Palisades? No.
We actually gained power. Everything got brighter. Big surge, a big white person surge, a big. If you get on a sitcom, buy a house here surge, and then your show gets canceled and your house goes into fucking syndication. And you're like, oh my god, the mortgage never stops.
Yeah, what
it's like
happened?
MASH. All right.
This other storm coming up now. I had to tie in an extension cord to my generator and wired into my panel for heat. It's been like 40 degrees and shit. So, and I was taking the advice of people on Twitter.
Jesus.
So just unscrew the front of
those.
your electrical panel, right? Look for the breaker for the furnace, unscrew it, tie it together with a piece of an extension cord, the black wire in there. Take the white one, put it on with the rest of the white ones, and then keep blacks and whites separate on the. Because even with electricity, it's very dangerous to combine the black and the white.
Yeah.
You get fire. And then just plug it into the generator, and there you go.
worked, huh?
And the furnace turned on. I'm like, hey, nice. But it looks like it's going to just catch on fire any minute.
It's jerry-rigged?
It doesn't look
You jerry-rigged
good.
it?
That's not to
Yeah.
code at all.
No, not to
jerry-rigged
code.
it?
But you got to turn the mains off, too, because you could
jerry-rigged it.
backfeed into the line and electrocute a guy that's working on the fucking wires down the line.
That's the price he pays.
Which, after 8 or 9 days without power, I really don't give a shit about the LIPA guy getting zapped by my generator.
He went to ICDC college. That's what you get.
ICDC? Which
One
one
of
was
those
that?
internet colleges.
Oh, okay.
Regional, I suppose.
Yeah, it probably is.
At this point,
it's like Apex Tech here.
everything you're explaining is like you live in a wagon train. Everybody's circling around. We're gonna make coffee.
It's fucking crazy. No,
I'm literally completely surprised that you, of all people,
I know.
How did you not knuckle down and see this coming? You seem like the guy that would have.
Well, I have a generator, but it's,
He knuckled down. He just didn't think it was going to be 9 days.
Yes.
And with the looting and stuff, I make sure I'm constantly armed around my house.
Is there looting in your neighborhood?
Not a single peep of looting in my neighborhood.
And maybe it's the fact that you run around your house like Mickey Rourke and Barfly. It's kind of hard to fucking get together and hook that generator up when you're fucking face down on the linoleum at fucking 3 in the afternoon.
Because all the times they've come to put it in and you're like, go away! Go away!
Who the fuck is that? You're fucking naked
Mr.
with a
Kumino,
gun.
we have this. We had an appointment. Go away! Go away! Not now! Shh! It's
Has
okay,
there been
honey.
any looting in this storm?
Yeah.
Some would say.
Coney Island.
What about
got,
last night
some
on the
looting.
internet? I'm reading that there was Black Panthers in Philadelphia and the National Guard was
One guy.
It was
Yeah,
one guy.
It was one Black Panther
one.
guy, and for some reason he was also.
Why would that intimidate
he was
anybody? That would make me laugh.
He was a Democratic observer, so he was actually supposed to be there as an observer and a Black Panther, just standing there. It supposedly intimidates people for some reason, but it was an all-black neighborhood, all-black school where this polling was being done.
And they had
so he wasn't really intimidated.
Obama mural over
Yes.
at one of the polling places. and
school,
people,
yeah.
people lost
Yes,
their
yes.
shit.
Yeah, they
Some
covered
guy
it
came
up
up
with
to me
paper.
while when I was voting. I was in a long line, and this guy comes up to me. I did this joke on the SNL monologue about the old lady in the airport, and I say that she was probably a refugee at some point. And I paint this picture of like
My husband died.
she's on a muddy road, and she's got some kid with a big Jewy hat next to her. Right?
That surprised me when you said that.
They actually said to me, somebody said to me, standards complained, but, it's live. Do what you want. So I did it.
Fantastic.
And then anyway, so some guy comes up to me in line while I'm voting I'm with my daughter. And this guy comes up, a big kind of heavy guy, and he's got a lisp, and he's just sort of weird, and he's just kind of aggressive, and he goes, "Hey, you're that comedian, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, sure, you're funny, but what's a Jewy hat?
Ugh.
And everybody turns and looks at me.
Holy shit.
And I just look at him, and he goes, I'm a Jew. Do I have to wear a Jewy hat?
Oh, God, no, this did not happen.
It did happen.
Holy shit.
And I just looked at him with no expression, and then he got nervous. I think he was hoping that I would go, hey, I have the right. And he just, and then it was really awkward.
Oh. You should have said it's a baseball cap with a K on the front. Or a J. It's a hood. Or an H.
Do I have to wear one?
Yeah, Jewy hat.
Well, you do.
Oh, God.
You're very Jewy. No, I don't know. I didn't say anything. What are you going to say?
That's
You
kind of
really
weird.
diffuse things well. Like I would have been self-righteous ass.
Yeah.
But that's Louis
It would have been a
diffusing
First
stuff.
Amendment fucking speech right there.
Well, you don't. It's like I always, you don't have to say anything yet. Figure, just look at him and see what happens. What's he going to do now? Yeah.
Now, your move still.
Yeah,
Still your move.
exactly.
He didn't have
That's
a
what-
follow-up.
He thinks that, okay, now
it's
you
your
talk.
move.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm like,
Still
no,
your
I don't
move.
have to. Say something else.
It's like passing your turn in Scrabble.
Bye.
Yeah.
And then he went outside, and that was the end of it.
And then he went on with his life. Told 8 people how shit I said that I didn't say, probably.
Oh, I'm sure it was,
And then he said, how dare you? And I said, here's how I dare.
He said I had horns.
He'll think twice before he makes another Jewy joke.
I think I set him straight.
Yes.
The list was bad, huh?
Yeah. He probably, I don't want to say it on the air, but he was probably doing
Homosexual?
a
Pitcher.
I'm doing the limp wrist.
Homosexual.
We got an observation from a guy in Tampa.
Oh, good.
This is going to be pretty good for Louis C.K. It's Jay in Tampa. Jay?
Hey, yo, if I go back to BAB with you, man, long time.
Long fucking time.
nice.
Jesus.
Louie, love you. I just got a question for you. How is it Joey can land a DC-10 and float it down the Hudson and you get fucking stuck?
How did Joey land?
Oh, Sully, the plane.
Land a plane in the Hudson.
Very good observation.
2 hours in.
Excellent observation.
Yeah.
I
Your
don't
phone
think
was
you
fucked up, Jay. Good
appreciate
job,
the
though.
complexities of navigating a 34-foot meridian. It's very complicated.
Sully landed in the Hudson River. No one died.
That is a great point. He did a better
was.
job of the 737 on the water. He did with a brand new boat. 2 cheese sandwiches.
Why are we happy that his boat's all fucked
Because
up?
it's-
It's hilarious
because
when
there's
a
nothing
fucking
funnier.
yacht gets wrecked.
Yeah.
It's really.
great.
Well, I don't know why.
What's better than your shitty friend gets a boat and then fucking winds up in the paper because it's in the mud? You're better than that.
Great.
Your shitty friend.
The only thing that made me anxious about it being in the paper was that I don't want people knowing that I have a fucking
That's true.
boat. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
said,
you don't
it said
anymore.
yacht, Louis C.K.
It's on Bloomfield Avenue in Clifton.
And all these people online commented and said, "That's not a yacht."
Not a yacht.
And I was like, "Oh,
A
perfect."
pleasure craft,
Yes.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a disappointment on Louis C.K.'s boat.
Boston Whaler.
Lefty thought that he was going to meet Sam Traficante, but long way to go for a fucking Donnie Brasco joke. Hey, so
I
what?
didn't even think you got there
Oh,
yet.
Jimmy. Dude, I got my yacht. You blow it up. You
That's
put the
it.
wooden seat on. You go fishing.
Did you take Bob
get
Kelly on the boat?
Boom.
I took Bob Kelly.
Bob,
out.
yeah, Bob
Oh,
talked about it. You know
man.
what, dude? Just me and Louie on a boat, dude. Look at this. What do you think? Just two professionals talking it over. Shithead, you were probably the only one available.
Did you bottom out that time, too, at 1,000 feet of water?
Yeah, you were the fucking 18th person he called.
Bobby, these for you.
How was the trip with Bob Kelly?
I went to the Comedy Cellar and he was there, and I said, "Let's go
In a
to the-"
boat?
Nice.
Oh, we were hoping that you weren't on your boat, and all of a sudden you ran over him, and the propeller hit his back, and he popped up.
Manatee. He's a man.
He's got the swirly fucking scar on his back.
Yeah. Hey, dude, it's me.
Kind eyes.
I went out on it one night. I took Chris Rock and my manager out on it one night. Chris didn't want to go, and he came anyway. And we went out to the Statue of Liberty, and there was this thing floating in the water. Chris saw it. He said, "What is that?" And it was this big thing, and it was dark. It was night. It was like 1 a.m. So it looked like a raft from a ship, like a big round raft. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And I yelled over, "Hey, is anyone in that boat?" And it didn't have any lights or anything. And then we noticed that it was coming towards us, like kind of with some speed. And Chris goes, "Get the fuck away from that thing!" Like it was creepy.
What was
So
it?
I backed away from it, and I put a light on it, and it looked like a giant manhole cover sticking out of the river. This was the weirdest night of fucking ever, and it's right by the
Nautical mystery.
Yeah, right by the Statue of Liberty. It's like I don't know, 20 feet across, and it's moving. It's propelling through water.
Are you sure it was moving, or it didn't just
It
look like
it was leaving a wake?
Wow.
What the fuck?
So
Submarine.
I call up
Well, if the river.
Channel 16. I go, is anyone monitoring this channel? There's something, because the Staten Island ferry was very close to there, and I thought it could easily sink any ferry. I would have sunk if I had hit it.
Yeah.
Really? Had you backed away from it by the time you called in?
Yeah. And so I called in, and then this woman came on. This is New York Harbor Coast Guard. Give me your home number. I mean, your phone number if you have a phone. So I give her my number. This guy calls, and he says, "What are you seeing?" And I describe it, and he goes, "Describe it as well as you can." And my manager, I said, "What does that look like?" He goes, "I'm really sorry, but it looks like a submarine. It looks like the top of like the hatch of a submarine." So I go, "I don't want to cause a problem, but it looks like the hatch of a submarine." And it's headed towards Lower Manhattan. Like that's what I'm seeing, and I'm sure it's not that. But my main concern is it's not lit, and it could cream anything that hits. It's going down. And the guy goes, "All right, well, I'll call a boat and send him to you." So he hangs up, and like 20 minutes later, there's nobody there. And I call him back, and we have the light on it, and I have this weird feeling like, is it going to shoot at us? Like, what is this thing? Like, we were really freaking out.
Fucking starts coming at you.
Yes. Chris Rock fell asleep. Like, he's just like, you guys are idiots, and he went to sleep.
You're
Are you
white
wearing
people
life
shit.
vests?
That's white people
No.
shit.
You don't wear life vests on your boat?
No, I don't usually. The
should
kids do.
Observe water safety.
What are you, fucking Quint? Never put on a life jacket again.
Take a bat to the radio.
Submarine in the water. Our submarine.
So anyway, I call back, and they're not sending anybody. And at one point I got crazy, and I said, what do you do if you are the Coast Guard? And I am saying to you now, there's a submarine attacking Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, this is
I'm
like
saying it.
This is like Jimmy's story with the bus, only on the water.
Yes.
When you
Very
called for the stolen bus.
It's like why wouldn't, if that did happen, someone would see it and call in? And they're like, we're trying to get park police over here. I'm like, send a fucking helicopter.
We know about it, Mr. CK. How do you know my name? How do you know my name?
Right. They knew exactly what this thing was.
Oh, wow.
And he
Just get
kept
away
asking
from
me to hover. We kept hovering around it and stuff. And then finally this big police boat comes and shines like a massive light on it. And then he hails me on the radio. Hey, Captain, are you the one who
Captain.
who reported this? And I go, yeah. And he goes, it's a mooring ball. It's been there since 1965. It's just a fucking... And I go, I'm really sorry I wasted your time.
You didn't know? You've never seen a bunch of moorings dancing.
No.
I know. That was delicious. Well, that's all right. You thought it was Sean Connery defecting. How are you supposed to know?
Mooring ball. Oh, big iron fucking floating.
it's on a chain.
Yeah, I guess people tie up to it.
Yeah, and I'm like,
big
what
ships.
if you don't see it? And everybody, the guy most people navigating those waters know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
That's why.
It's probably marked on a chart that there's a mooring ball
Probably.
there.
Well, when you were off to the side getting away from it, because you initially said it was coming towards you, leaving away.
It looks like it was going towards me because it's on a chain to the bottom.
Yeah.
So when the current takes it looks like it's moving. It's not just drifting
I
or
was
bobbing.
going to say, it must have, just the river moving, the current.
I have no business being on the water because, because it looks like it's moving in one direction to me because I'm fucking moving. So it's making like a circle. And I keep moving around it, and I'm going, holy shit!
Where the fuck are we?
Towards...
Jeez, we're really moving far away.
There's a giant thing coming out of the water. That's the Statue of Liberty, you idiot.
There's like a floating sea from another planet. That's Manhattan. That's New York City.
It's Atlantis.
I'm sorry.
I found Atlantis. I said that I thought Anthony would have said it.
That's fucking funny, man.
I love your boat story.
They're fucking great. There's no
wonderful.
one that shouldn't have a boat.
Then
Fucking more than Louis.
It's fun. It's fun as shit, to be honest.
Would you have sunk if you hit that though? That would have killed.
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have hit it if I hadn't stopped at the Statue of Liberty to show it off to Chris and them.
Well, why don't they have a light on a mooring ball? It seems
Because
like
everybody that's actually out in the open New York Harbor I'm the only idiot in the whole New York Harbor. I'm the only asshole. It has some tape on it, some reflective tape. They said it, But yeah, they don't expect
submarines
some
put reflective
They
tape
do.
on
They
their
like to be
hatches.
seen at night.
I'm sure if you
Don't
looked
trip
at
when
your
you're
chart-
coming off stage on the submarine. And put some electrical tape down so you can see it when you're coming off on the steps.
tape down the cable.
I'm sure if you looked at where you were and looked at a chart, it would probably be there.
Probably,
mooring ball.
It's an old
number
mooring ball for-
625.
And if a big tanker wants to sit there, it hitches to the
then
ball.
they just instead of dropping an anchor.
Is that because it's too? This way it prevents it from going to the shallower water to get close. It can do it in the deep water.
Yeah, it's simpler. Mooring balls are so you don't have to throw an anchor down.
Yeah, that's a pain
You
in
just
the ass.
hook up to it and you
Hang out.
You're there.
How heavy is a fucking mooring ball that it can keep a ship in place? What's it
It's
latched into the
massive.
water with?
But it's
Yeah,
supposed
how
to
big
float.
was this
Chains,
thing?
big chains.
How big
How
was
does
it?
it float?
A safety pin.
How could it be that heavy
To
and
a
float?
leaf.
Yeah.
Well, like a ship, like an aircraft carrier is pretty heavy.
It's a big hollow ball
It has buoyancy.
full of air.
Buoyancy.
And at
Yeah.
the
Like,
bottom, it's a giant fucking
It's really hard to
anchor
push
of
air down
cement.
to the underwater.
Yes, very hard.
Yeah, air is difficult.
Yeah,
That's a
very
great
difficult.
fucking story.
That is fantastic.
Two horrible boat stories.
And you stayed there. You stayed there.
Like an hour.
Waiting
Look at it, man.
to find out what it was. It for safety purposes for other people, or to find out what it was.
No, I was concerned about somebody wrecking into it.
Really? Yeah.
I wanted to go. I didn't want to be doing it. I wanted to go home, but
You probably thought it was terrorism.
you're the boat shit they give you to read.
Yeah.
You're responsible for everybody out there. so.
Yeah. Were you like running through a fantasy in your head of Louis C.K. Fucking terrorists thwarted by comic Louis C.K.
You know what's great? All Anthony said was Louis C.K. and we all burst out laughing. We all knew the text.
He's just daydreaming like,
Yes, everybody's
Fucking,
going
I
to know
showed
now that
them.
I'm really a captain.
Homeland
Yes,
Security.
but instead the headline reads in quotes, "Comic arrested for pranking police department."
Comic, local comic.
Yeah, you thought that there was going to be good, cool. You saw something and you said something. Good job.
That's it.
Local comic known for playing Grandpa's comedy club in Yonkers.
Comes across a piece of hardware that's been there since the World's Fair.
Yes. Yes, call the police for being attacked by a giant bowling ball. It's a big circle and it's just hanging out there for 51 years.
That's fantastic.
Finally, somebody caught it.
God, that's fucking great, man.